I'm Dana Jacobson from CBS Saturday Morning. Welcome to The Dish. It's going to get a little spicy in this episode as we explore Mexican cuisine, from gluten-free goodness in Texas to savory salsa in New York City. But first, we head across the pond to experience the first ever Mexican restaurant in England to receive the coveted Michelin star. Here's Jeff Glor.
When you first found out that you were becoming the first Mexican restaurant ever in England to have a Michelin star, what was your reaction?
Well, I was really proud.
Santiago Lastra's origin story doesn't begin the way it does for many internationally famous Michelin chefs.
I didn't really have this beautiful story of like my grandmother was rolling pasta while I was underneath the table kind of thing.
You were eating fast food.
I was eating fast food.
At the age of 15, Lastra bought a box of Ritz crackers at the supermarket and made a crab dip recipe that was featured on the box. He has never looked back. Lastra began traveling the world to learn and cook, including time at high-end restaurants in Spain, Russia, and Denmark, until he got an idea on the beach in Mexico, an hour and a half south of Cancun.
Col means cabbage.
Yeah.
Why name it that?
So col, it means cabbage with a C. And what we want is to represent that things that are undervalued can be special if you put them in the right contexts. Like Mexican food and Mexican culture and British ingredients.
At Cole, all fresh ingredients must come from the United Kingdom, not Mexico. Meaning, for example, no limes, avocados, or mangoes. Dinner is either a 6 or 9 course tasting, and most cooking is done in the middle of the restaurant, so chefs can see every diner and vice versa.
There's a transparency on both sides.
Exactly.
They see who they're cooking for, and you see them cooking.
Exactly. You also can see there's no microwave, We try to make dishes that are not 100% spontaneous. So it needs to have a story, it needs to have a specific ingredients, it needs to have a specific flavor, a specific look as well. Like I want the people to know that it's from Col.
Our presentation began with niquatole, a custard made with corn masa. Traditionally from the south of Mexico, Lastra's given it a British spin, using apple juice and lovage with a little bit of chili, almond milk, and caviar from Cornwall.
Your dishes have the heat, the spice to it.
Yes. Yeah, so we work quite a lot on spice. We don't use, for example, pepper to dress things with salt and pepper. We only use salt, and then the pepper or like the dressing are the chilies. So the chilies will give you heat, but it also will give you seasoning.
Lastra showed us his take on ceviche called agua chile, made with squid and rhubarb.
So in the bottom is this paste that is made with pumpkin seeds, and it's a type of seaweed called kelp. So then the idea of the aguachile is that you have this liquid, and then when everything gets mixed together, it becomes like a cold soup.
It's incredible. I've never had anything even remotely close to something like this.
Me either. No, like seriously, yeah.
But that's the idea.
Yeah.
The signature dish at Cole is langoustine tacos, roasted with garlic and smoked chilies, and served on a sourdough tortilla with sauerkraut and sea buckthorn.
And the head is being compressed with the juice of the berry. So the idea is you can squeeze it as a lime.
I squeeze the head.
Yeah. So as it would be a piece of lime, And also it has all the flavor of the langoustine,
I'm sold on this version of a lime.
They just go for it.
That's amazing.
So this is inspired in these lobster tacos that you can have in Ensenada, in Baja California.
The smoky char that you taste, where does that come from?
That is from the heads, because we grill them in the chimney.
Our next plate was a one-of-a-kind tostada. Instead of meat, Lastra uses beets from Oxfordshire, salt baked and dressed with fermented gooseberries and walnut oil, and underneath, an emulsion made with arbol chili.
And then the beetroot is not spicy, but then the emulsion is really spicy. So
But not too
balance.
spicy.
Yeah, exactly. So then that allows you to like keep eating more.
Which was a good thing because we weren't quite done yet. There was still dessert. First up, a palate cleanser of sorts, sorrel and jalapeno sorbet with mezcal and a pinch of salt, inspired by Lastra's childhood in Mexico, where all treats come with a kick.
I remember when I just moved to Europe, it was so unusual for me to see candies without chili. It's like, what are you guys doing here? Like, how you guys get joy of your life when you're kids? Like, in Mexico,
Without chilies, without spicy
without
food.
Sweating.
Yeah,
Like,
without sweating.
Yeah, in Mexico, you're a child. You're like with your friends, just like everyone is just sweating,
I'm
eating
sweating right now. I'm
chips.
starting to sweat right now.
Dessert number 2, a flan with British mascarpone and rye. And finally, buñuelos, fried dough covered in ancho chili sugar, served with Tunworth ice cream with walnut oil and a gel made once again of sea buckthorn.
The idea of the dessert was to think about a cheese board, a British cheese board. And then the idea is that you can break this, like this, take one piece, and then you take a little bit of that, a little bit of the ice cream, and spread it in the buñuelo.
Your version of a cheese plate.
Yes, exactly. So that will be the cracker, and this will be the cheese, and sometimes you have like jam with the cheese, you know. And if you close your eyes, it should remind you to eating like a cheese board, you know.
It does.
Right?
Oh my gosh. It totally does.
Right?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
After the break, we head out west to a family-owned restaurant serving up tacos and tradition. This is The Dish. The Mitla Cafe opened its doors back in 1937 during the Great Depression. Since then, it's served generations of customers in California. Our Lilia Luciano learned the history behind the iconic restaurant, which also had a helping hand in the creation of Taco Bell.
Along Old Route 66 in San Bernardino, California, sits one extraordinary family kitchen.
I remember it almost as an extension of my grandmother's kitchen or my grandmother's house. This is it right here. This is exactly how it's been done here since 1937.
Mike Montaño is the co-owner of Mitla Cafe, opened by his grandmother, Doña Lucia Rodriguez, in 1937.
It's where I would see her most frequently. It was where I saw family most frequently. And to me, it was not a restaurant. It was not a business. It was just part of what made my family who they were.
After immigrating from her native Mexico in 1928, Rodriguez opened Mitla Cafe to quite literally feed her family and her growing neighborhood.
It was like during the Depression, so she knew what it was like to be hungry. And she told my mother the reason that she was opening up the restaurant is because she didn't want any of her family members to go hungry.
Patty Oquendo is also one of her grandkids and the general manager.
What is this place like now? Who comes in here?
It's like generational customers, sons and daughters of people that used to come here.
We come like every other Sunday. We come down after we get out of church.
What's the tradition with having menudo on Sundays? Hangover?
Enter through these old doors, and the lines that divide us disappear almost as fast as their famous chile relleno on a hot plate.
State senators, congressmen, everyone comes here.
A place to be seen.
It's a place to eat.
And Montaño says one particular customer in the 1950s got more than just the tacos to go.
The legend, as I know it, across the street was a burger stand called Bell's Burgers. And the owner, Glenn Bell, saw that my grandparents had a line to purchase tacos. At the time, I think they were 25 cents each. And he wanted to understand this food item and why people liked it so much and why it was so popular. My grandparents kind of understood what he was doing, and they wanted to help him.
And so Glenn Bell, armed with Doña Lucia's beloved hard-shell taco recipe, launched Taco Bell.
What does the family say about that?
Everybody's been fairly philosophical. I don't want people to feel like they weren't successful or that they were taken advantage of or anything like that.
The generosity rippled beyond the treasures of the kitchen. Through the years, Mitla served as a gathering spot for community organizing, even earning its place in the history of the fight for civil rights.
One of the most important stories that I know about was the meeting of different community organizations that helped to desegregate public swimming pools in San Bernardino. There were days of the week that Mexican kids of Mexican descent, could not swim in the local swimming pools.
Those meetings led to a court case and decision which desegregated all California parks and pools, a precursor for Brown versus Board of Ed.
That was the importance that they placed on this restaurant, was that it was not just a place to serve food, but it was a place for people to meet, to talk, to share ideas, and to move our community forward.
What's going on here?
This is our own ranchero chili verde sauce that we make here.
Despite Mitla's reputation for generosity, there is one thing they won't share.
And this is the secret one that goes on the tacos or any of our other dishes.
The recipe for their taco sauce.
Our most secret recipe, there are 3 people right now who can make it, including myself. And we try not to ride in a car together.
For everything else, the door stays open. The tortillas are served fresh and the welcome warm as ever.
It's always been about having the same spirit that my grandmother instilled in this place in 1937. We'll come to my home, share a meal, and we'll see you next time.
We now head here to New York City, home to the renowned Mexican restaurant Cosme. Our Michelle Miller sat down with chefs Enrique Olvera and Daniela Soto Innes to learn about their authentic cuisine.
To understand Chef Danielle Soto Innes,
So you want to put the face of the scallop down, right?
you must make the rounds in her kitchen. A fast-paced production line.
It's a formula that works when you have high energy and when you have passion.
Moving to a beat that feeds a myriad of palates.
And where are you from?
Venezuela.
Venezuela. And you? New Jersey. And where are you from?
California. It all fits together for this 29-year-old Mexico City native who believes that everyone in her domain has the potential to run the show.
It's amazing to see that they can have a chance to run their own kitchen. You see the tortilla ladies?
I don't think you can go to any kitchen in America and see this many women in it.
They're badasses. They're amazing.
She said it, not me.
Sorry.
That ability to see promise has come full circle because world-renowned chef Enrique Olvera saw it in her.
What was it about her that impressed you?
Daniela it's always been really high energy. I think she also knows how to belong to the team, but also command the team, which is hard for chefs to understand.
After a chance meeting in New York, he invited her to apprentice with him in Mexico City, his signature restaurant that was ranked the best in North America. A few years later, he handpicked her to partner and run his first New York venture.
This restaurant, Cosme, has seen enormous success. Is that part of the secret, the diversity?
Happiness. The mixture of happiness and hard work and fun.
La Chiquis is the best dancer that you'll ever see.
Playing host is something both have taken to. Whether throwing their customers a 5-year anniversary party or simply seating President Obama and the First Lady in 2016, even if neither chefs were there in person.
My niece was being born, so I rushed. I took a plane that day.
Were you here?
I was in Mexico.
Luckily, their third partner, restaurateur Santiago Perez, was.
I was called to the front of the restaurant, and they very polite. They asked me, hey, would you have the private dining room available? And the guy gives me the business card, and it's Secret Service.
Did it click then?
It kind of did. It wasn't immediate, you know. I wasn't expecting it.
What did they think?
They loved it.
And that visit came before Cosme was named the best eatery in the U.S. on the world's 50 best restaurants list for their own unique take on their hometown food.
We have razor clams, but we caught them to make a star.
What this duo seems to have accomplished, mixing it up while keeping it true.
I mean, you're a classically trained chef, And yet you say most of what you apply in that kitchen comes from your grandmother's kitchen.
I think we all cook from memory. You can't create something that you don't cherish. I think it's important for us to, as cooks, to understand who we are. I was trained in New York, and when I came back to Mexico, I realized I didn't know much about my own country. And little by little, we got to know our own cuisines, all the regional cuisines of Mexico, and we literally fell in love.
And true Mexican cuisine is what fuels their menu.
You see 5 similar things, which is the agave, corn, beans, pumpkin, chiles, and on. But we wanted to showcase Mexican food in New York, using the same ideal that we use in Mexico.
It's like taking a bath.
Consider this dish. Sea bass with its scales fried like chicharron.
It's so satisfying.
I love this.
Dressed with mojo salsa.
Drizzle it, make it nice and green.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yes.
I don't usually like scales, but...
Oh, wait until you try this one.
That sauce is everything.
Oh, she liked it.
I do. Okay, what else do we have here?
Or Arctic char in a turmeric, ginger, and sea buckthorn sauce.
And sea buckthorn is so good for your skin.
Oh my God. But this is so light. It's so not what people think of when they think of Mexican.
When you come to eat at Cosme, if you see, we like to have things that are vibrant and fresh. We want you to come out of the restaurant feeling happy and alive instead of overwhelmed and crazy.
And bloated.
Yes, and bloated.
Now that the duo has conquered New York, Los Angeles is next. The recipe for success, they say, is simple.
If you don't enjoy it, you can't persevere. Just find a good mentor that will elevate you and that will compliment you, and you will learn nonstop. Learning nonstop and seeing the results is really nice.
Up next, we meet an Austin, Texas family who embraced dietary restrictions and turned the traditional, like tortillas and chips, into grain-free favorites. Traditional Mexican cuisine often includes foods with gluten. But when Veronica Garza learned eliminating grains might alleviate some of the symptoms of her autoimmune issues, a new grain-free brand was born. Former CBS correspondent Maria Villarreal traveled to Texas to learn more about the family behind Siete Foods.
South of downtown Austin, nudged in between warehouses and hipster clothing stores, sits one of the fastest growing food and beverage companies in the nation. Siete is where family cookouts double as brainstorming sessions for some of the most innovative grain-free products on the market.
We didn't see a brand speaking to us being a Mexican-American family that was doing what Chobani did in yogurt. Or what Oatly's doing in alternative milk. We really do feel this great responsibility to share the beauty of the culture that we grew up living.
A brand born out of necessity, Veronica Garza co-founded Siete after struggling with her health.
I deal with multiple autoimmune issues. One of those conditions is lupus. My older brother, Rob, had suggested a different type of diet that could possibly alleviate a lot of the symptoms and inflammation. My whole family started eating this new way with me. We were basically following a paleo diet and eliminating grains. At that point, we were no longer able to eat a lot of the foods that we had grown up eating and loving. Like tortillas.
Health-wise, the family felt better. But cutting out gluten made them feel like they'd also lost something bigger.
You know, tortillas are the centerpiece of the table. You go to any restaurant and it's chips and salsa, guacamole. All of these foods that add to the beautiful Mexican culture, they weren't on the menu for us anymore.
You know, we sort of felt like we were sort of like turning our backs on our culture, not being able to participate in this important part.
And then it was around that time that we're at a carne asada and my sister shows up with almond flour tortillas.
Veronica quietly began experimenting with new ingredients and found customers for her product near the family home in Laredo, Texas.
I had a full-time teaching job, and on weekends, my mom would get in the kitchen with me and we would just hand press like a ton of tortillas.
Siete is named for the 7 members of the Garza family that started the business more than a decade ago. By 2014, Veronica's side hustle had grown, and her younger brother Miguel saw the potential.
So I started to realize, like, oh man, this product could actually be sold in stores, and if people are buying it on the weekends from you, they might buy it at a couple of natural food stores.
The company offers 40 gluten-free Hispanic-inspired products selling in more than 15,000 stores nationwide.
I'm really, really proud. It's hard for me to even talk about it because I cry all the time. When I see our tortillas in stores, it still makes me cry.
For the Garza family business, the payoff is discovering the impact they have on families like theirs.
You've changed my life with this tortilla. And I'm like, really? Like with a tortilla, you're exaggerating. And but then you would hear it over and over and over again. Be like, okay, maybe this. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional, but
no, it's good.
Yeah, maybe this is possible. Sorry.
That what?
It feels good to know that, we can do something that's affecting people's lives in a positive way, and that we're doing it as a family.
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news 24/7, stream us right here on CBS News. I'm Dana Jacobson. We'll see you next time for another helping of The Dish.